Hi Skye, this is Tracy. Just a quick video for you to talk you through the problems you're having, hopefully. You said you have mastered the magic ring now, so I'll go over through that quite quickly and then we'll talk about the actual stitches which you're struggling with. So before we start, I'm going to talk about tension. You don't want to be pulling this yarn really tight because that will make your stitches really tight. So you literally just hold it really loosely in your hand like this. I let the wool run through those fingers. I just sort of hold it gently in those fingers. Don't put a massive amount of pull or tension on it. And then obviously I use this finger to hold the wool while I'm working it. So let's get started and then we'll talk about a few other things as we go along. So magic ring, basically you're making a V shape. You are pulling the one bit through and you are making, I normally pinch it with my fingers like that, so I get this wool, which the working yarn, and then she's telling you to do one chain stitch, which is yarn over and pull through the loop. That stitch doesn't count as anything in this pattern, so you can ignore it from now on. So then she's saying to make a double crochet. That's a UK term. It is a US single crochet or a UK double crochet. Yarn under, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. That's one. You have to do 6. So you just repeat that. Yarn under both loops, pull up a loop, yarn over. You see how I'm holding my yarn here very loosely. The other thing to say, make sure your wool goes up onto the fat part of the crochet hook, because if you're doing it down here on the skinny part, you'll never get your hook back through and you'll never make your stitches that you need to. So make sure your stitches are up on the fattest part of the hook, which is the, in my case, 6mm part, and then pull it through from there. So that is 1, 2. So yarn under both threads, pull up a loop, yarn over, oops, making sure your loops are up here on the fat part, pull it through. That's 3. I'm gonna just skip through these now quickly. 4, 5, 6. So that's your first 6 stitches and your magic ring. Now you need to pull on the thread that's hanging out the magic ring to close it up. While you're starting, don't pull that too tight. You can leave it a little bit of a gap like that because later on you can tighten it up later. So yeah, pull it closed, but don't pull it so tight that everything gets pinched up. So that's the end of the first row. Have I got a stitch marker handy? I'm not sure if I have. Let's have a quick look in my bag. Oh, I have actually. It's not a very nice one, but it'll do. I've got some lovely stitch markers on my website. So, stitch marker. It is worth doing this when you're starting out, because amigurumi is worked in a continuous spiral. So you need to know, because of the way that amigurumi increases as each row, it's different on each row. So you need to know where the last stitch of your row is. So, oh, that one's not very good, is it? Never mind. So yeah, put a stitch marker in, and then, so this is your first row, or I think that she calls it row 2 possibly, yeah. And this is where you have to start doing, it's your first increase row, which is the hardest, I suppose. And as she described, you need to go through both loops of the stitch to do the crochet properly. So you need to go through both loops like that. And then for this row, the pattern says do 2 single crochets. I say single crochet because I'm used to US terminology. It just makes more sense to me. You want to do 2 in each stitch. So there's 1. And then you go through exactly where that yarn is coming out of. So if you pull that stitch, you go through there where that yarn is coming out of and do another one. And that's your second one. That's 2 in 1 stitch. Here's your next stitch. So go through those 2 loops, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2. Same again, through the exact same hole, which you can see there. Through that same hole, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's your second one with 2 stitches in it. Here is your third stitch. So we're going through both those loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Back into that same hole that those stitches are coming out of. You've got your 2 loops there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 3 increases done. Here's your next stitch. So we'll go through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, making sure you're constantly pushing your working thread up onto the fat part of the hook. And I'm still holding, you see how loosely I hold that yarn. Don't be pulling it because you'll never get your hook through. 1 more in this stitch, go through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 4, lots of increase. That's stitch 6, which has got the marker in it. So we'll do 1 more increase in this stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, get some more thread wool, yarn over, pull through 2, increase again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, final stitch, take the stitch marker out, and you don't need to do 2 stitches in this last one, which is there. So then we go yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, back into the same hole there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now by pushing your yarn up onto the fat part of the hook, you can see the size of these stitches. I am using a chunky yarn just for demonstration purposes and a large hook, but that the size of that loop is dictated by the size of the hook here. So if you do it down there, I'll pull one out and show you. So I've got to do one more in this. So if I do it down here and I don't pull it all the way up and then pull the yarn through, I can do it, but can you see the difference in the size of that loop and the size of that loop? That's because you haven't pushed it all the way up your hook like that. So let's pull that one out again and do it properly. So this is my final stitch on this row. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So again, put the stitch marker in to denote that that is your last stitch on this round. If you weren't working in a spiral and you were slip stitching at the end of each round, you wouldn't need to bother with the stitch marker. But because you are working in a continuous spiral for amigurumi, stitch marker is quite essential equipment. So for the next row, row 3, possibly 4, I can't remember what she calls it, you need to do an increase in one stitch and then just one stitch in the next. So you're going to do 2 stitches 1, 2 stitches 1. So the way to do that, same again, through both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, making sure it goes up here. Then we go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then the next one, you just have to do 1 stitch. So you go through the 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we need to do an increase stitch, which is 2 into 1 stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, back into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, need some more yarn, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's an increase. So the next one is a single. So we go yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we go in increase through both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, back into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Just a 1 in this one, 2 in this one, 1 in this one, 2 in this one, 1 in this one, 2 in this one, and you're on your final stitch, and that's a 1. So you'll do your final stitch on that row, and that's the end of the next row. Same again, put your stitch marker in, because then the increase changes for the next oh blimey, come on, the increase changes on the next row. So the first row on amigurumi, you always do 2 stitches in every stitch. The second row, you do a 2 stitch and a 1 stitch. The third row, you will do 2 stitches in the next stitch, then you do a 1 and a 1, then you do a 2, and a 1 and a 1. You'll do that all the way around, and then when you get back to here, the next time you'll do a 2 increase, then you'll do 1 1 1, 2 1 1 1, and then the following row you'll do 2 1 1 1 1, 2 1 1 1 1, and that gives you your gradual, or whatever it says on the pattern. I'm not sure how many rows you actually have to do for the jellyfish head, but you can see that it increases, and that's why you have to put the stitch marker in, just so that you know when to change onto your next pattern of increase. So that's it. The best tip I can give you, best 2 tips: make sure you're pushing your yarn onto the fat part of the hook, and just hold the yarn loosely. There is absolutely no need to be pulling it and gripping it and pulling it tight. If you do that, you're going to struggle getting your hook through. But yeah, this, make sure your yarn goes up onto the fat part of the hook so that you get a decent sized loop that will fit your hook. If you do it down here, you're never going to be able to get all your stitches in. So hopefully that's been helpful for you. I shall sign off now. All right, let me know if you need any more help. Bye.